holidays are quickly approaching, and as a result, manufacturers and carriers are getting ready for that busy season. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and I've got two devices that are under $100 and pack some pretty awesome specs to boot. One of those is the Motorola DROID RAZR M. This is coming to Verizon on September 13th, so Thursday, for $99.99. And then I have the Motorola Atrix HD on AT&T, which is arguably its big brother, or little sister, depending on how you look at it, on AT&T, which is also $99.99 and packs a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. Both have 8 megapixel cameras, both have ice cream sandwich. Which one's the best? We're going to put them together in a dogfight and find that out. But before we get into the dogfight, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us a bunch of phones that we turn around and give away to you for free in PhoneDog's One-Pawed Bandit game on the site. So special thanks to them. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile to get either of these devices, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your contacts, your camera settings, and more. So when you walk out the door, or grandma walks out the door, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about spending time either helping her set it up, or heck, even setting it up yourself. You'll be good to go at Best Buy Mobile. You'll walk out working. Let's take a look. RAZR M, Atrix HD. Which one's going to win in this dogfight battle between two Motorola devices? We'll find out in the full dogfight, which starts right now. As it seems to be the case across all the different carriers, there are some awesome Android devices available at a multitude of price points: $49.99, $99.99, $199.99, and then the maximum price point, at least on Verizon, $299.99. So you're seeing two awesome devices right here, and they're actually both Motorola devices. You've got the Motorola DROID RAZR M over here, coming to Verizon Wireless on September 13th for $99.99. Then you have the Motorola Atrix HD over here, available now at AT&T for $99.99 as well. So both are Motorola devices. This one was announced last week in New York, and then of course the Atrix HD has been out for some time, and is packing a little bit of a different look and feel. You'll see over here power button on the right side of the Motorola RAZR M, volume rocker, and you've got your screws here as well, so you can see more of an industrial design over on the RAZR M. But what it does boast is an edge-to-edge 4.3-inch Super AMOLED advanced display, and then a flap here to cover the micro SD and micro SIM card slot, and then your micro USB charging port down there at the bottom. So you have that, and then over here, you've got over on the side, your SIM card slot, your micro SIM card slot at that, and then your SD card slot up here, HDMI port, and then micro USB charging port, power button on the side, and then volume rocker as well, and then down at the bottom, nothing. AT&T logo, Verizon logo as well, and then as you can see here, Motorola up at the top with a front-facing camera. So specs-wise, let's run through the specs and take a look at both of these devices, shall we? We've got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU over here, a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED advanced display, like I said, 540 by 960 pixels, an 8 megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording, a front-facing shooter, 2,000 milliamp hour non-removable battery here with a Kevlar back, and then on the front, you've got some on-screen buttons, ice cream sandwich, Android 4.0, and then Motorola's user interface. Now, like I've said in previous Motorola videos, it's interesting to watch the evolution of Motorola's user interface, because prior to this, we've seen and remember Moto Blur. A lot of people didn't like Moto Blur. It was very skinned over Android, and a lot of stock Android people, Android purists, didn't care for the way that it looked and felt. Over here, you'll notice that partially as a result, most likely, of the Google acquisition, you'll see that this looks a lot like stock Android. So you can see there are obviously some Motorola customizations. The icons are a little bit different. The way that the pages are laid out, a little bit different. Other than that, though, you see some stock Android stuff as well. Obviously, the on-screen buttons, very reminiscent of stock Jelly Bean and stock Android 4.0. And then over here, you can see the notification bar is very similar as well. Then you have the Atrix HD over here. You've got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU over here. A little bit of a bigger display, a 4.5-inch HD display, 720 by 1280 pixels, an 8 megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording, and you got a front-facing camera, and then you have Android 4.0 over here as well with Motorola's UI, and in the back, the battery, a 1,780 milliamp hour battery. So this resembles a little bit more or kind of closely resembles the DROID RAZR on Verizon, which is quickly going to be replaced by the DROID RAZR HD, which is coming out very soon and was also announced in New York last week. But running Android 4.0, both of these devices, the screen's a little bit bigger. You do get an HD display over here. Otherwise, you get an edge-to-edge display over here and a bigger battery. So it's going to be a trade-off. Also, it's going to be dependent most likely on which carrier you're on. So if you're on Verizon, you're happy, you're eligible for an upgrade, this is going to be a great device for you. If you're eligible for an upgrade on AT&T and you want to spend under $100, this is going to be a great device for you as well. So they're both good. They have minor differences. Let's take a look at those in the Dogfight. So you can see some differences immediately here in the user interface. And in typical Motorola style, it does differ ever so slightly from Motorola device to Motorola device. You'll notice here, I've got favorites up the top, my Google Play shortcuts, whereas over here, I have apps and widgets, and I can scroll back and forth between those. Over here, favorites, which is really nice. I added some favorites while I was in New York, Chrome, Facebook, and Gmail, just for example. And then over here, you don't have that option. But notification bar is very similar. On-screen buttons, very similar as well. And then out of the box, you get some bloatware on both of these devices. On the Verizon version, you get Amazon, Amazon Kindle, VCast apps, Amazon MP3 App Store. You got Chrome, which interestingly enough, Chrome is the only browser that comes installed on this. Whereas over here, you'll notice that let me find it, browser right there. So you have browser installed on the Atrix HD. All you have over here is Chrome, and then you can see that pre-installed. Google Plus integration, IMDb, you've got mobile hotspot, My Verizon Mobile, you've got Quick Office, you've got Setup Wizard, you've got VZ Navigator, you've got voicemail, visual voicemail at that, which is a $2.99 monthly service from Verizon, Viewdini, and then you got Zappos over here. Now on the AT&T side, AT&T ready to go, smart Wi-Fi, device help, Google Plus integration, like I said, movies, my AT&T, Real Racing 2, you got vehicle mode, and then you have YP mobile as well, and then of course some things that I've installed during my testing. So look and feel wise, these are a little bit different. It's obviously a bigger display on the Atrix HD. That said, it is an HD display, and you really notice the color difference when these are side by side. The Atrix HD, very vibrant in the color department. This one's still very vibrant, but you can notice the fact that it's a QHD display as opposed to a true HD display. Also, 4.3 inches over here, 4.5 on the Atrix HD, though I will say there's a lot of added plastic around the Atrix HD, so even though it does have a larger display, it just makes it a big device to hold in the hand, particularly in comparison to this one. Also, bigger display, bigger HD display at that, but smaller battery over here, so that's something to keep in mind. Other little differences you'll notice in the user interface, I'll show you one, the quick settings feature where I can scroll over to the far left on this device and access quick settings, whereas over here I don't have that option. What I do have over here though is the shortcut where I can just expand out my applications and close those as I see fit. So people, and you'll see the arrows beside each individual contact, or each individual application rather. I can open up browser and roll through that way as well. Speaking of browser, let's take a look at both of these devices relative, or respective browsers rather. I've got Chrome over here, I've got the Motorola browser over here. Again, 4.3 inch edge-to-edge display, 4.5 inch display over here. So obviously in the browsing department, you're going to get a little bit more screen real estate out of the 4.5 inch HD display. That said, the browser performance overall goes to the Motorola DROID RAZR M. Chrome is a great option on this device, and you can see PhoneDog loaded up over here, and let's load it up over on the Atrix HD. PhoneDog.com, there we go, perfect, and that's loading up right now, and you can see in landscape mode, obviously the buttons transition over into landscape mode. So you got your on-screen buttons. It's a love-hate thing for people. Some people prefer capacitive buttons, some people prefer physical buttons, and then of course you have recent applications on both of these devices. So I can see my recent applications here, and scroll through and remove those as I see fit, and I can bring that back to portrait orientation. So pinch to zoom, very responsive here, little to no lag on this device, and then little to no lag over here as well. Both powered by 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPUs. So again, relatively responsive there. Take a look at the keyboards on both of these devices though. They're both Motorola's custom keyboard, also known as the multi-touch keyboard. But again, you're dealing with 4.3 inches here, but while it is edge-to-edge, it is a little bit smaller. 4.5 over here, but you do get a lot of added plastic, which may make it hard if you're typing like you regularly would, as opposed to over here where you don't have to travel as much to get to the individual keys. So I found after using these for a couple of days in their respective tests, I was pretty pleased with the keyboard on this one just because of the fact that it eliminates some of the sides. So I didn't feel like I was constantly stretching over, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is noticeable when you're using them for extended periods of time. So we'll go into Bill Stevenson, for example, here as a test, and you can see the way Motorola's messaging interface looks, and it's kind of the same look and feel over here as well. Let me jump in to messaging. There we are, text messages. And you can see, again, stock look and feel. Other minor differences you'll notice between the Verizon and the AT&T version, because I'm a stickler for these little differences, as I'm sure you are as well. Blue text messaging icon over here, green text messaging icon over here, but otherwise pretty similar when it comes to adding new messages. So we'll compose a new one just to show you. And apparently the Quick Brown Fox is ready to party like it's 1999. How are you doing today? So we'll type that out. And you see portrait to landscape transition, nice and fast. Really impressed with the look and feel of this device. Nice and speedy there. And then same thing over here. Little to no lag on the Atrix HD. And we'll just say Quick Brown Fox is ready to party. I don't think they'd say party if they were actually partying. I think they'd say party. Maybe they would say something else. I don't know. Swipe pre-installed on this one, and then over here, as you can see, Swipe pre-installed along with Motorola's Chinese input, though I'm assuming these are pre-release devices. I don't think the Verizon build will actually have Chinese input, but who knows? I could be wrong there. Both are great in the keyboard department. The added screen real estate does make a little bit of a difference on the Atrix HD. That said, I find that for typing, it's much better on the DROID RAZR M just because of the fact that there's not as much added junk around the sides of the screen. It makes it easier to hold it in the hand and type on the display.